What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with another market update. And as I talked about in a previous video, I'm still a little bit under the weather, but I wanted to go through some beautiful, absolutely gorgeous mint on card items that have all sold here on eBay, most of them in an auction. One seller had just an incredible selection of Empire Strikes Back mint on cards, and as you can see in this thumbnail, but that's not everything. I did pull up some other sales that were fairly recent, and lots of pretty fair deals overall. There were some that kind of went a little bit higher than I expected, but for the most part, some pretty darn good deals out there. And we're going to finish the video with a couple of mint in sealed box playsets. So let's go ahead and dig right in. The first one is a Snaggletooth. This is the 20 back A Kenner Canada card. And the photos were not great. I think that's probably why the price kind of stayed down a little bit. It just showed some very kind of murky images of the items still inside the grading bag. So this was graded UKG 80%, and it's the French-Canadian 20 back. 75, 85, 85 were the subscores for an overall 80 from UKG. You can very clearly see the La Guerre des Etoiles on the back, but that red Snaggletooth is awfully nice. It looks like a clear blister, but just again, the photos were not great. So I think that if this seller had taken the time to put some better photos up, might have gotten a little bit higher price for it. It ended up selling for 1,126 Australian dollars, which is 782 US dollars plus shipping down in Australia. So nice looking item, but again, you're kind of taking a chance there that there's no issues with the mint on card, just given how how blurry the photos were. So let's dig into this seller, Lee's Toy Review. We've talked about this seller before in the past. I've never bought from this seller, but it seems like his or hers items always tend to command pretty good money, and credit to them because they do take a lot of detailed photos. They also show any kind of defects on the card. You can see a little crease right there on this beautiful 32 back IG88. I'm assuming this is the 32 back B. The debut, no, I'm sorry, I'll take this back. This is the 31 back. So this is the debut card, the 31 back A, I believe. The debut card was the 31A. I have the 32B with Yoda on the back, but this is the 31. So it was inappropriate or incorrectly labeled in the title for the eBay auction. It sold for 533 US dollars. Pretty good price there for a clear blister. It looks like it did have a little ding there on the top of the blister there, but overall, probably I'd say a 75 plus, maybe a low 80, depending on who's grading it and how good of a mood they're in. But 533 for the debut card, clear blister, IG88. It looks like an unpunched card as well, so nice deal on that one. Next up was the Zuckuss. This one went a little higher than expected, but admittedly, it was very, very clean. I mean, it was just pretty strikingly clean. I think this is the 48 back A, if memory serves. Beautiful blister. Everything was in fantastic condition for this one. And it sold for $810. $810. Offerless Zuckuss on the Empire Strikes Back card always commands pretty good money, especially in this kind of condition. I think this one has a good outside chance at an 85. So $810 took that one home. Next up was a Yoda. This one surprised me. This is the 32 back, obviously the debut card, but wow. I mean, it did look clean. I'm not trying to say it didn't look clean. It was very, very clean. Again, it could potentially be an 80 plus. I think it had some very light edge wear to the bottom of the card there. Maybe even an outside chance at an 85. Gorgeous, unpunched, no price sticker. $710 though. That's the highest price I've seen for the 32B Yoda in a while. Usually they've been kind of hovering $550 to $650, but someone was willing to pay up just given the condition of this one. It was certainly very nice, and I can understand why. Next up was the 32 back. He keeps saying 32 back. This is the 31 back. So again, the debut card for the Hoth Rebel Soldier, unpunched, no price sticker. That one sold for $354.99. Now it did have a pinhole from where the previous owner kind of hung it up on the wall with a thumbtack, and that was the case for a number of these. It had some edge wear here, a little crease, probably an overall 75 plus, maybe an outside chance at a low 80. But $355 for that I think is very fair. Clear blister, again unpunched, but just had those minor defects to the card. Next up was a slightly yellowed blister Lobot. This one was the 41 back, and again it had that whole the thumbtack there on the punch. Pretty nice looking example, but again, yellowed blister, so that kept the price down just a little bit. $224.80 was the sales price on that on 24 bids. He also had a slightly yellowed, moderately yellowed Han Solo in his Hoth gear. This one was the 41 back. I think that is the 41 back E, if memory serves. Pretty nice example if you can live with the yellowing on the blister, unpunched card. That one sold for $401. My gut says if this had been a clear blister, 41 back Han, it'd probably been closer to $650. That's just a rough guess, but very nice example overall, though. This is the one I really wanted, but I think my estimate was going to be $850, and as you can see, I was way off. This is the 32 back, first 12 solid dome R2D2. Beautiful card, though. I mean, it was pretty much perfect. Just some very, very light scuffing to the left of the unpunched hang tab. Blister was in perfect condition. The rest of the card was in pretty much perfect condition, and I was curious to see what it would sell for. But it sold for $933 and change plus $12 shipping. So, I was estimating at $850, and I think given the condition of this one, it doesn't surprise me too much. Any kind of first 12 solid dome R2D2 on an ESB card, there weren't a lot of them, right? Because I think after the 41E, they switched over to the sensor scope R2D2. So the 32 back and then the 41 back would be kind of your big ones. There's probably a transition 21 back ESB also. I don't know. I've never seen that one personally, but I'm sure it's probably out there somewhere. But a beautiful card, and I can understand the appeal and why someone paid up for that one. Next up was a nice looking AT-AT driver, clear blister, 47 back forelom. And I think it had some issues. Yeah, so it had some issues in the lower right-hand corner. You can see some color breaking spider veins and creases there, and that kept the price down just a little bit. Here's the back of that. So, probably overall at best a 75, just given that bad crease there. Rest of the card was in great shape, though. I mean, that's a great buy, $282. Again, if this was 80 grade or higher for an unpunched, no price sticker, clear blister AT-AT driver, double, if not triple, that price is I'd say probably 2.5 times. $650 to $700 would have been pretty fair, I think, for if this one didn't have those creases in the lower right-hand corner. But beautiful example. Next up was the Bespin security guard. Again, this one is the 32 back. It did have quite a bit of scuffing on the back, though, so probably at best a 70, maybe 75 if they're being generous. But I think really it's a 70, 85, 80 at best, because the weapon had come loose from the blister. So the card damage really held the price down on this. $136 though, you can't beat that price. $136 for an unpunched clear blister Bespin security guard, probably 70, 75-ish grade condition. Pretty good deal. Next up was a clear blister 32 back Han Solo. Pretty nice example overall. It did have some crunching though on the stem of the blister. So probably at best a 75. That's really the major defect, was that stem damage. Card looked clean though. No price sticker, again, unpunched, clear blister. $380 I think for a 75 grade 32 back. That's not a bad deal either. Pretty good price. Here was the Hoth Leia. This is the brown-haired Leia, as you can see there. Unpunched. It did have that thumbtack hole again on the hanger tab. But the blister was in great shape overall. There it is. Nice close up there with a little bit of wear above the hang tab. Really nice looking example, just some edge wear on the right-hand side as well as on the bottom of that card. $475 took that one home. I think that's a good price too, honestly. That's probably a 75 plus or an 80 all day long. Yeah, I'd say 75 plus. So pretty good value there. Here was a 41 back, and this is the 41 back C, I believe, because I don't have this card back for Dengar. This is where they had separate boxes for each of the figures. The 41 back E has the same bottom image, but all of the figures are inside one gigantic blue square instead of having separate boxes for each figure. So this 41C is a little tougher to find. That's been my experience anyway. It did have some sticker residue in the upper right-hand corner, one little slight crease there. Just some slight damage here and there, some scuffing on the back, but probably, again, a 75 grade. Probably good value. I probably should have bid on this one, but I'm guessing it probably only get a 75 because of the pretty significant scuffing on the back of the card. But front of the card really displays nicely, though. I mean, that's a nice looking example. It probably goes 75, 80, 85 with an overall 75 plus is my guess. But $305 for that, for a clear blister Dengar, you can't beat that, especially for this 41C. It's just I haven't seen this one come up for sale in a long time, if ever. Not that I've been following Dengar until fairly recently, as my mint on card Dengar run takes shape here. But that's a very tough one to find. Has been my experience. That 41, the 41E is very common. I've got two of those, but the 41C is a really tough one to keep an eye out for. So good price on that one. Next up was the Ugnaught. Again, this is the 41C, and pretty nice looking card. It looks like it's got a little bit of yellowing to the blister right there on the left-hand side. A little bit of ding on the stem again, but it also had that thumbtack punch on the front of the card there. But pretty good looking example. Again, probably 75 yellowed is my guess on the grade. 204.27 took that one home. So this seller had a lot of really nice items, and this is one that was particularly nice. I was curious to see where it would sell. My guess was $650 going into it when it first got listed, so I wasn't too far off. This is the 65 back Han Solo. This is the standard image, obviously not the alternate image, but it's a clear blister, and it was punched, but no price sticker. It looked like it did have a little bit of sticker residue. That looks, if there's anything that looks like a Toys R Us price sticker, it's that one. You can see how long that is. You can just imagine that bright orange Toys R Us price sticker where that residue is. But again, it's clear blister. The blister was in fantastic condition, so I knew it was going to go for a lot of money. Again, my estimate was $650. I wasn't too far off. It sold for $671.99 plus shipping. But just a gorgeous example. So keep that seller in mind. I mean, again, I've never bought from them, so I don't know how they package and all that, but they consistently sell really nice mint on cards has been my experience. And these in general, I thought, for the most part, other than maybe the Zuckuss, and the Yoda, those two I think went a little higher than I expected. The R2-D2 was the other big one, but I think that one was probably justified. But pretty nice examples of some Empire Strikes Back, and of course that Return of the Jedi card back that he sold, so keep an eye on that seller. Here was the 48 back C, Revenge of the Jedi Boba Fett. This was ungraded, probably an overall 70 is my guess. It had quite a bit of wear to it, but the blister looked great, nice and clear. Just a lot of wear to the card that would probably hold that back to a 70. That one sold for $1,489. I think that's pretty good for an ESB Boba Fett, especially with that Revenge of the Jedi. Just something about that Revenge of the Jedi sticker that really speaks to me on Imperial or bad guy card backs, and having Boba Fett there with that Revenge sticker, that is just a great combination. It's a shame it wasn't in better shape, but that's why the price was what it was. I mean, I think in kind of 80 grade condition, you could probably pretty close to double that, $2,500 to $2,700 pretty easily. But pretty good buy on that one, assuming that it's in as good a shape as I think it is. This was a good deal. This one was a CAS 80 plus 41 back A Imperial Commander. So obviously this is the one with the survival kit offer. It was punched with a little bit of sticker residue in the upper right hand corner. Nice clear blister overall. 80, 85, 85 were the sub scores on that. I don't know if it's an 80 plus. I think it's probably a little bit overgraded. Probably an overall 80, just given that sticker wear on the front of the card, but just my personal opinion. But a nice example. It was listed for $450, and the best offer that was accepted was $375. So $375 for a nice high-grade clear blister Imperial Commander. That's a good buy. That's a good buy in my mind. I really like the way that looks. There's something about that yellow name pill with the survival kit offer that really pops on that one. And just a good-looking example for the price. I mean, $375 for something already graded ESB, that's not a bad deal. Next up was the Cloud Car Pilot. This is obviously the free 4-LOM 47 back, and it did have quite a bit of wear around the hang tab there, as you can see very clearly. But clear blister did have a ding on that. This is probably at best, I'd say a 75, 70 plus, somewhere in that ballpark, but pretty good looking example. It did have some sticker residue above the name pill as well. So, you know, it's iffy. I'd say it's a 70 plus or 75 is my guess. That one sold for $147.50. $147.50 is a good buy. That's a good buy if you can live with those defects on the card. So pretty good buy there. This is a beauty, though. This is one that Chris W. from Rogue 5 Toys over on Facebook sent me. And I had to show it. I was wondering how long it would last on the market. It did not last very long. But this is a very, very tough to find Kenner Canada 31 back A Leia Bespin. AFA 80, archival case, 80, 85, 80 were the sub scores. Beautiful crystal clear blister unpunched, no price sticker debut card for the Canada version. Look at that. La Guerre des Étoiles, l'Empire contre-attaque. That is an incredible, incredible MOC. And, you know, let's be honest, folks. I mean, we've documented a number of 31As that have sold higher that were just the standard U.S. cards. I mean, I can think off the top of my head, last year there was an AFA 80 31A that sold for $1,300. And this one was listed for $1,000. And, you know, look, I know that's a lot of money for one Minton card figure that's not in everyone's budget. I know that. But for what this is a great buy. I can guarantee you that if this was on Hakes, that this would have sold for closer to $1,500. That's my personal estimate. That is a great buy. I'm not shocked at all that that sold fairly quickly, but just a beautiful example for the hard-to-find debut Canadian Leia Bespin. Wow, what an item. And congratulations, whoever got that. If you're watching this and you pick that up, congratulations, because that is an absolute stunner. Next up, we got another Paplu. This one was punched with a little bit of litho damage from where the price sticker was likely taken off, but this is the Made in Mexico Paplu with the Anakin offer. Nice clear blister, which is common. And again, we talked about this, but you know, they have these factory punches. You can see that punch right here. That's from the factory, so that's not a defect on the card. And also for the Made in Mexico's, figure Made in Mexico, as you can see right here, the card backs are much more matte. They're like a matte finish, not high gloss like the U.S. Return of the Jedi card backs. So very nice example. And you know, I'm not surprised that this thing sold $249.95. I think that's a pretty fair price. That's probably easily an 80 grade, is my guess. It had a little bit of wear around the hang tab, but very minor. I mean, that's, you know, just minor wear here and there. But I think all day long, this gets an 80 grade. And for a last 17 figure, Made in Mexico, Lily Letty, clear blister, you know, great shape. I think $250 all day long is a very fair price. Next up was a Kia Mall, just very light, moderate, light to very light yellowing on this one. And it was unpunched, and this is the Kenner Canada La Guerre des Étoiles Star Wars Droids version, so not the U.S. release. But look how clean this one was. Probably an 80 plus or an 85 yellowed on this one. And $226.50 for that. I mean, we talked about one. Admittedly, it was a clear blister that was the standard U.S. Star Wars Droids unpunched Kia Mall. And it was not graded, but it was in similar condition, and that sold for $460. So if you can live with that light, very light yellowing, I mean, it looks just very faint. The yellowing is just very faint, as you can see right here. The inner tray especially is yellowed there. So I'm assuming that this gets the yellow designation, but it's not bad at all compared to some examples I've seen. $226.50 for that unpunched Canadian version. That's a good buy in my mind. And let's finish the video off with a couple of Minton sealed box playset / creatures. We got Jabba the Hutt, and this is, you know, just the standard U.S. box. It had one little crinkle in the upper left-hand corner, probably a 75 grade overall, maybe if you're lucky, a low 80. But I think, you know, given the slight damage, this one shows some more damage there. Probably a 75 or 75 plus is what this one get. But this is a factory sealed example, and it sold for $504. Now, high grade examples, you know, already graded, you know, $800 or more I've seen. So, you know, if you can live with those slight defects, $504 is a good buy, free shipping. And what I like about this is that it shows the squid head kind of in prototype format. It's got a black cape on that squid head. So that's something you'll see a lot from Hakes or on CIB, is like all these kind of photo sample figures with just slightly different materials that were used for these, for the photos. And, you know, Kim Simmons took a lot of these photos. So it's just kind of cool to see a retail item with what we know now to be prototype figures, right? So that black cape squid head obviously is not production, given that they came out with like brown and green capes for the most part. So pretty cool to see that, $504. And then finally, we had a graded collector series Patrol Dewback. So this is the 1983 version, not the original 1978 version that we just saw one of those sell, graded, that sold for over $900. I'm surprised this one went as high as it did. $715 was the sales price on this, and it was graded, let's see here, I think it was just an overall 80. Yeah, overall 80, so Minton sealed box, collector series Patrol Dewback. But $715, that seems high relative to the one we just saw that was the original 1978 release. But you know, it is high grade, and you know, the market says what the market says, but pretty cool to see that one sell as well. So anyway, some pretty good deals out there overall. So you just got to keep your head on a swivel, as I like to say, for some of these great buys. But some of those Empire Strikes Back cards that Lee's Toy Review had were especially beautiful, and enjoyed seeing what those sales prices were. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, please be sure to leave a like. Please subscribe if you're new to the channel. Thanks again for watching, and I'll be back soon.